Hi, good afternoon. We're a little late. I'm buttoning up, putting my clothes on. I'm Nat Wood. This is 30 frames a second. And today in our community, let me roll over a little bit. In our community, sometimes chaos inspires us to do great things. And sometimes there is a need for us to come together and form coalitions, comrades in arms. It is my pleasure, my extraordinary pleasure and privilege to have with me today two members of one of the most unique and famous organizations that have ever come together out of pure madness to create magic. That is the incomparable Black Spades. And we're going to talk to a couple of these brothers who were instrumental in the Black Spades organization, find out what they're doing today, and find out how we, in the extraordinary times that we live in, with the violence that is out of control in our own community and the ignorance that is out of control, find a way to make roses out of manure. Wow. So with that, when they get a chance, they're going to roll my opening, and when I come back, we're going to talk to the one, the only, the incomparable organization known as the Black Spades. Peace. Where the victim is now the perpetrator and the perpetrator is now the victim. And that just drives me crazy. And I'm assuming that they got some audio for me, otherwise I would look like a blithering idiot just like talking and nothing coming out. We have with me two members of the Black Spades organization. They are referred to in their street names as Tiny and Chocolate. Introduce yourselves and let us know how you got involved in the Black Spades organization and what it's meant to us collectively.
All right, Brother Woods, thank you for having us here today. Back in the 70s when the gangs was growing, in my neighborhood, coming out of Patterson, Mount Haven projects, and Black Spades was one of the gangs that was running through our neighborhoods. It's
Patterson, New Jersey?
Patterson projects in the Bronx.
In the Bronx, okay.
In the Bronx. Mount Haven projects and Patterson projects. Back then, everybody was all together as a neighborhood, and we were sticking together, doing things together. And the Spades was one of the gangs that came out of our neighborhood, so we all got together, and we called ourselves Black Spades. 14th Division. From the 14th to the 17th Division.
Yeah, how did the Spades start?
Well, I wasn't there from the beginning, so I can't tell you from the beginning. Okay. Maybe Brother Chocolate can tell you, but I wasn't there from the very, very beginning.
But they were there when you were coming up, and what inspired you to join?
Well, back then, we did a lot of neighborhood things, and it's like, a lot of people are not aware of it, though, but the gangs back then, they wasn't allowing drugs in the neighborhood, you understand? And actually, even though we caused a lot of the mischief in the neighborhood, we wasn't allowing other people to come into our neighborhoods, commit crimes, do anything that was violence in our neighborhood. If any fight, anything went on, we did it. But no one could come in our neighborhood and hurt anyone, and that's one of the things that inspired me, just protecting the neighborhood.
So that's a completely different paradigm. I don't even know if it's fair under that definition to even refer to the Black Spades as a gang, because what we think of as gangs today is mostly like violent organizations. This is how we think. This is how we are programmed to think. I have no information as to what gangs are or are not. So I could not tell you definitively what gangs are or are not, or what actually defines them. But the way gangs are presented now is as violent street organizations dealing in drugs that conduct things like drive-bys. And you're telling me that you came to the Black Spades as a way to protect your community. Correct?
Well, you know, in the 70s, it's a whole new different era today.
Right.
You know, from
Right.
the 70s. In the 70s, you understand, we were violent. We did fight different gangs, but we basically stayed, you know, we basically protect our neighborhoods as well. And don't get it wrong, there was a lot of violence, a lot of fist fighting and things like that. Wasn't no drive-bys and stuff. But the gangs back in the days, to my knowledge, when I joined, we wasn't there to sell drugs or anything like that. We basically more or less protected our neighborhood. Today, the whole concept of gangs have changed, where now the younger brothers are more involved with drugs. You understand? There's robberies and things like that. I'm not going to say that these things didn't happen back then, but it didn't happen as much.
And to be fair, I cannot swear to the validity of the definition because the definition is handed to me via media. It's not like I know people in the community, you know, so a lot of them I don't know on a personal basis, so I cannot definitively say what the overall intentions of young people are. Chocolate, are you from the Bronx too?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. What year did you get involved with the Black Spades, and what?
Well, okay, you figure 1971, 72.
Wow.
Wow.
Around the time of Attica.
Yes, actually, right Attica Riot was September 13, 1971. Yes,
Right.
during that time. Actually, my cause when I got in was because I'm from 140th Street between Cypress and St. Anne's. In this era today, that's the 40th precinct, which is supposed to be in the newspaper one of the most horrific area with the 40th precinct with the stop and frisk right now. But when I was coming up, it was there, and not to make this a racial thing, it was from Brook Avenue to Cypress Avenue and Jackson, back going towards St. Mary's Park, is predominantly Hispanic. So I'm a black guy, you know, I'm a black man, black youth, you know, and not making it racial, but, you know, birds of a feather flock together. So a couple of guys from my block on 140th Street that's no longer here, God bless the dead, I could say their name, Bill Hill, a brother still alive named Robot, you know, Speedy and Darrell. You know, we used to all get together. So to get out our neighborhood, you know, we had a little fear in us because, like I said, it was Hispanic. And that, you know, so we didn't know when the crunch time gonna come. So we try to start
Now this
something.
is the 70s?
Yes, yes.
By Hispanic, do you mean Puerto Rican or Dominican?
No, Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican, okay.
See,
The Dominicans came like in
Later on.
76-ish, I believe.
yeah, like
around
76,
when
77, right. And so back then they had the Social 7. That he's the he works on Channel 4 News, Channel 5 on Carlo Guzman.
Right.
That's my area.
Right.
So
The Young Lords were
the Young Lords was right around
right,
the corner.
yeah,
Right, it's
right,
prominent. It was
right.
prominent. So what we did, we tried to start something. We had our little crew. Like the word gang is just anything over 5.
Right.
Anything that's over 5, they give it a name.
Right.
Today they call it a crew, a posse. Back then they call it the gang.
Right.
So, and the gang word, like you said, it sounds so demeaning.
Right.
You know,
right.
and you like
It
you
has
said, think
no
of,
resemblance in bearing to what
Right,
we
what
think
we're
of
doing,
today,
right.
because it seems like the organizations, you know, because I know different people who were in the Young Lords. I
Right.
knew it seemed like the organizations were more political in nature than that's not to say that young men coming up in adverse circumstances. That's not to say that the members of the organization weren't street savvy and prone to being the warriors that they are. That's just to say that the intent was more forward thinking than we think of today when we think of the word gang.
Right. See, as I said, like my comrade said, we kept, especially in my block, we kept everything in our block. And to the day I call it, even when I speak now, I say my block, and I believe in my heart, is the first Harlem in the Bronx. You know, because We had the block parties. We had the PAL.
Right.
We kept everything going on. You know, we could sit on the stoop. My mother used to scream out the window and call my name. You better get upstairs and take the garbage.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd be like this, man. And Tiny mother or whoever mother right there, boy, you better go on upstairs. See, and that's what it was. So these people that looked after me, I felt I was a kid. The only thing I had going for me was to look out for them, was about getting a little clique together, and we protect our neighborhood. You know, when we came into the Black Spade, because it was bigger, more conducive in their ways, because we seen what the Black Spades was doing. They had their little block parties in the block. Black Spades giving the party. Oh man,
little fly jackets.
little jackets. So we wanted to be a part of that. So that's how we got. You know, me and my friends got into the Black Spades. You know.
What year did you get into the spades?
70, 71.
All right. So both of y'all are around
Around
the same age.
yes.
Now, they had things called divisions. Can you explain what divisions are? And
Well, I'm coming out of Patterson Projects, Patterson and Mount Haven. We had the first division I knew was the 14th. Then we had the 17th that came in. They came off Brook Avenue.
That's right.
Then up where Chocolate was, they had the 5th and the 6th division. And there was like, at least in the Bronx alone, we at least had over 50, 60 divisions.
Yeah.
All different denominations. You understand? The 17th, 18th, 22nd,
no,
first,
was
second.
the divisions geographic locations, or were they?
They were just
you
all.
tell me.
It was all over. We had them in Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, Jersey.
I mean, were there differences in things you did, or
No,
differences
your
in where you lived?
location.
Your location.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
Your location established your division.
All right.
You know, and like in our area, okay, we out of the South Bronx, Patterson, Mount Haven, Cypress, up the Bronx, up the block, 14th, 17th, 5th, 6th. We had 4 divisions and practically one neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because just different divisions run by different people.
Right.
But we all were still one unit.
Right.
So, you know, it's like where you lived at, where you was, who established a division in what area.
How did this become so large? Because it was not confined to a single borough. It wasn't even confined to a single city. It grew exponentially. How did that phenomenon happen?
Just like I said, everybody, I ain't gonna say everybody because that's a blanket word. The majority of people are, especially youths, are always seeking something, to be a part of something.
Right.
So the Black Spades was like the most popular thing out there. Look at the name of the alone, Black Spades. This Ace of Spades. We got the spade on our jacket, Black Spades. You know, and it was just, the name just drew people. We had our dungarees jackets with the fur on it. You know, a lot of us, we had that little swagger about ourselves. And then, so next guy coming through, they looking, they say, oh, I want to be a part of that. That's what's happening. And then, you know, and then they come in the neighborhood, like a next crew of people try to come in. Yo, y'all not coming in here, it's on. You know, something, you know, in that words. Like, so the guys, people behind us look, whoa, yeah. And then in the next barrel, you know, they hear the same thing. The Black Spades, yo, you heard about the Black Spades, man? They kept the Savage Skulls, but from our area, the Imperial Bachelors from taking over their block. You know, oh man, we need that over around our way. You know, and they'll come one, or my cousin might live in Manhattan. He might live in the Wagner Projects. He might start coming up, hanging out with me every day. Yo, next thing you know, he putting on a jacket. Yo, and he coming down to Wagner saying, yo, I represent the Black Spades. You know, and he might be a slick guy. Girls liking him, you know, and the girls, you know, they follow behind the guys most of the time. You know, they like, you a Black Spade? Yeah. Oh man, I heard about them. Can I be a Spadette or whatever?
Yeah,
you know?
that was my next question. You piggyback ahead of me. Were there female spades or just males?
Males and females.
Females. It was beautiful.
We might have had more females than males.
I'm telling you.
Listen, I think it might have been 2 to 1. We had a whole bunch of females that were spades.
And honestly speaking, and not to to belittle us men, some of the girls was even tougher.
Tougher than us.
You know? Yeah.
How did the community perceive the Spades? I mean, how did Grandma and Ma looking out the window? How did they in your
all right.
community?
Well, at first they was apprehensive. You know, a bunch of us coming together. Me, I played ball all my life. You know, I played ball, high school ball. You know, and everybody used to see me coming down the block, bouncing the ball all day. Now I'm coming down doing this. You know, they looking out the window. Kevin, what are you doing? You know, I'm like, ain't nothing. But then when they seen us getting together and holding it down, you know, like, for instance, I'll give a story. One day, I think 1972, there was a serial rapist in the Bronx, my area. And we actually caught this guy. I mean, what we did to him, hey.
No.
Right. But the people was like, wow, yeah. Okay, it ain't like they all bad now, but I mean, we did what we did, and they was like, okay now, but, you know, so they accepted us, but they were still a little apprehensive because when you get a majority of them, a lot of people, you know, parents, because I'm a parent, and my sons, they play ball now, and when I see them with certain guys, even though I've been through the same thing, you know, I look at be easy, man. You know, what you doing with him? So even though they seen the good out of it, a parent's a parent. They're going to always want the better for their child. There's, like I mentioned earlier, an old parable. It takes a whole village to raise a family, to raise a child. And, of course, it's versus nature versus nurture. Nature is the street. We become a part of the street. Nurture is growing up in your house, washing the dishes. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
No,
we
sir.
all say yes, ma'am.
Well, you know, we had to grow up with that yes ma'am, no ma'am.
No,
and I use it today, and it's funny because a lot of people say, don't call me ma'am. And I let them know straight up. If I didn't say ma'am, the taste buds was slapped out of me.
Right.
And I'm 50-something years old, and I still use ma'am.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
do that too. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Just a prime example. Just now, when we was coming here, we couldn't find this building at first. Tiny asked a Con Edison men,
Right.
two of them, not, you know, be facetious,
Right.
different flavor than we are,
Right.
asked them, said, excuse me, sir, could you tell us where 537 at?
They looked at us like we was pulling guns out of our mouth.
Yeah, it was like looking like. So I have an attitude, you know, with myself. Like I backed away because I have a like I said, an attitude. Because I was about ready to say, "Why are you staring at us like that?" You know. So I just backed and let Tiny handle it because they looked at like they didn't want to say nothing. They was in awe, like, "Oh God," you know. And it was really crazy.
It was crazy. You know?
I'm gonna get back to that point because that's a real good point. Perception versus reality, especially when it comes to blacks in general and black males specifically. We talked about Tanya. We talked about how the community perceived the Black Spades. How did the police see you? What was the relationship between the Spades and the
We know
the Popo?
in our neighborhood, the police, you know, and back then in the 70s, we had a whole bunch of white police, okay, and we a bunch of black kids in the neighborhood running around with our jackets on, doing nothing, standing on the corners all day, okay. They didn't see what our parents and our neighbors were seeing, keeping like he said with like the guys that was raped. We didn't have a lot of robberies and stuff in our neighborhood. All they looking at is a bunch of little black kids hanging out on the corner. You know, and they didn't take to us. They didn't take to us kindly at all. You know, and there's a lot of times we riff back and forth with each other. We had one thing in our favor in our neighborhood. We had the PAL, and I forgot his name. Please forgive me.
Police athletic league.
Yeah, but there was an officer, and I forgot his name. And
Chucky Sanders.
Sanders, I think it was Sanders. And he was our link between the precinct and us, because a lot of us, he knew a lot of us from the schools. He came into the schools, and we all basically grew up. And even though he was our link between the precinct and the gangs, they still, and he was a black officer. We still had our troubles, but he stayed out on the street with us. This is, the difference between today and yesterday. Today we don't have those community officers. Our kids don't have nobody to reach out and deal with them. And we had the PAL. We had the after-school programs back then. We don't have anything today. And we looking at our kids and we like saying to ourselves, damn, where are they going? But if you look at it, we had a little bit more than they had today, because we had those after schools and those programs where today our kids don't have nothing, and we don't give them nothing. So the police looked at us raggedy. I'm gonna use that word, raggedy, but we did have a little link. We had the PAL officer who pretty much tried to stay in touch with all of us. You understand, and see what we were doing. He couldn't keep us out of what we had to do, but he reached out to us. That was our only one link to the 40th precinct that kept us going.
Now, both of you gentlemen said that you got involved in the Spades around 70, 71.
Right.
By 1976 or so, there were Black Spades who had made tremendous contributions culturally and artistically on a global scale, specifically in areas like hip-hop and graffiti.
Yes.
Lava, who was supposed to come, but he got caught in the flood.
That's my buddy.
Right, he's
That's
a tremendous hip-hop artist.
Yeah.
And Bam is a Spade, right?
African Bam Bottom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
How did that happen? How did y'all go from like, okay, there's this organization, you got nothing to do, and all of a sudden, within 5 years or so, 4 or 5 years, you have this growth that blossoms into sheer genius, artistic genius.
But I think I'm gonna answer this a little bit. The chocolate going. There was a huge turn, and I know in 1976 when the gang started dying out, they started the crews and it wasn't so much hip hop, but you had DJs, and a lot of these DJs like Grandmaster Flash, they was like playing in their basements, giving house parties and things like that. I myself, at that time, there was a crew in the South Bronx called Casanovas, and I knew these young brothers, and their leader was Peanut, but there was a leader before them, and Peanut was a Black Spade. We started. I got involved with working with Flash. We became his personal bodyguard for like 3-4 years. His personal security.
Flash, man.
Grandmaster Flash.
Grandmaster Flash.
We became their personal.
Wow.
Casanovas became their personal security, and we worked with a brother by the name of Ray Chandler who got us involved. And Peanut died in 77, 78. Then I became the leader of the Casanovas, where I took over the Casanovas. And actually a lot of brothers don't understand, we became the first security of hip-hop throughout the South Bronx and Manhattan. The first legitimate security of hip-hop. What happened was that, being that it was a Black Spade, I was a former Black Spade, a lot of brothers, we gravitated to a lot of brothers in the different areas that Flash played. So we didn't have a lot of problems, because wherever Flash went, and brothers knew that Tiny was coming, and I was, we understand, one of the leaders in the Black Spade, we just brought together a lot of brothers and sisters, and Flash became so famous. You understand? And we were like, we are considered, Casanova crew and the South Bronx are considered one of the original securities of hip hop.
Wow. That's not often talked about, but it's really significant to point out that by the mid '70s, not only did the Black Spades, because I know people who became Panthers, Black Panthers, who came out of the Black Spades.
Right.
But not only did the Black Spades, members of the Black Spades, become prominent politically and culturally, but there were entrepreneurial endeavors that came out. As you said, you were running security for a lot of these guys, which was like
Grandmaster
businesses. Wow, that's amazing.
We
That's
are
amazing.
not only Grandmaster Flash. We work with a lot. We work with a lot of African Bambaataa. God bless Mario, and African Bambaataa and Mario both came out of the Soundview section. Mario's dead now. Bronx River. You understand? We work with Zulus. We work with the Gestapos.
Yeah, Zulu Nation.
Zulu
Right, I
Nation.
almost forgot about Zulu.
You see,
right.
the Casanovas didn't stay in the limelight as far as security. You know, it's like when everybody started getting contracts and things like that with the different record companies, it's like we fell back. We went into on a whole new different phase. But AJ, Grandmaster Flash, Kool Herc, Mean Gene, okay, Theodore, okay, the L Brothers. I mean, these are all, you know, Mean Gene and all of them. We did security for basically a lot of the clubs, everything. And Zulu Nation was African Bambaataa. He started a large organization, and I'm very proud of him. We worked side by side with them too, because there was a reputation in the Bronx, the Zulu Nations, Gestapo, and Casanovas. And I got to also give a look, let my brothers in them from Webster, the 9 crew.
The 9 crew.
These were the 4 crews. These were the 4 crews that stuck together and did basically a lot of security for basically all the hip hoppers in the South Bronx.
Whoa! So we have a phenomenon today that I'm listening to what you're saying, and it is very, very significant, because you're telling me in essence that you started, you invented a platform and a situation where young black people, black males and black females,
That's right,
came together basically to keep an eye on their communities and have something to do. They, you know, so they solved 2 problems. You know, a problem of nothing to do, and communities that were under stress.
right.
You come together within in less than half a dozen years, you are a major global political and cultural phenomenon. You start entrepreneurial endeavors based upon that phenomenon. Now, flash forward, that's like in the mid-70s or so that this
76, 77.
Right, that this is starting to happen.
Actually, a little before that.
Actually, Grandmaster Flash was playing it. Grandmaster Flash was the first one we was introduced to, but he was playing in his basement.
Right.
He got his start in the parks and things like that around 77. Okay, and we was with him. We came out, and you understand, and we did the parks with him. We did the security for him. You know, it's like security of hip-hop, first security, do not get the recognition that they're supposed to. Because a lot of these brothers, I know if you're reading Flash book, he says my name, and he gives me my little praises of protecting him and things like that. But you got to remember, there are certain securities, Casanovas, 9 crew, Zulus, Gestapos. These brothers protected a lot of the brothers who were the creators of hip-hop, the rappers and stuff like that. But security does not get the recognition it's supposed to, because a lot of us that bodyguard these brothers or protected their jams, they exist today because we put our lives on the line to make sure that they were safe. Now, I can't go around and say to you, hey, listen, they supposed to this, they supposed to that. No, they ain't supposed to do nothing but what they're doing. But I do say they should recognize the brothers who led the way to keep them safe.
Well, like myself, for instance, me and Grandmaster Flash, Joseph Sattler, which is Joseph Flash's name. My son's is by Grandmaster Flash's oldest son's mother's sister. God bless the dead. Both the sisters passed away, Sheila and Jean. Jean is Grandmaster Flash's oldest,
Baby's winner.
Kareem. Now, Kareem is doing music himself. He's in North Carolina. They call him DJ Legacy down there. So we have a little thing, and we speaks about it, because Kareem is young, and I tell him stories about the Casanovas and his father. We make him laugh and how his father used to come out with fur on him and stuff. And even myself, I used to laugh at it too. I'd be saying, "Oh man, look at Joseph! Jesus Christ!" He come out. And and as far as the Casanovas, I wasn't one of them, actually, because I was away at the time. I was incarcerated. And when I come home, it was like, wow, y'all took it to another level. Like, because y'all doing what y'all do now. Like Cool Herc see me. He don't call me Chocolate. He be calling me Cool Kevin because graffiti days.
Right.
And then he had his little thing. And like I come up called the Hebelo. That's what Cool Herc used to be at.
My pretty.
The Hebelo, the Dixie Club, Mr. T's and all of that.
He had his one little liner. So they say Herc is the whack, but I keep this place packed back to back. That was his little thing. And we come in, he see me, yo, Choc, yo, hold me down. Yo, Cool Kev. I be like, yeah, all right. You see me, I got me and my little mans. Yo, you all right? Yo. So it was a thing we ain't get no recognition. And I don't look for no recognition, but just the mere fact amongst my peers, I'm that guy. Like, yo, Choc no Cool Herc. Choc no, like Lava, Stickman. Stickman was that guy in Manhattan. Phase 2, that's Lonnie from Forest Projects. That's the Black Pearls. But in Phase 2 is like, if you want to say with graffiti, he was like the grandmaster. Put his graffiti up real nice. The first guys that used color, and all type of block. And he, he wasn't no tough guy, but so we come around, yo, Choc, yo, Cool Kevin. Yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it. So they recognized us, recognized me and my friends. Even though it was a graffiti era, they knew that we was ex-Black Spades.
Right.
And it was like, yeah, we come up there. And even though Forest Projects is a different zone than us, the Black Pearls was there, but they knew the Black Spades was the Black Spades.
Now, your whole movement doesn't really get the recognition that it deserves. I know there are a few photographers who took pictures early on, and they attempt to sell their work, books of their photography and whatnot. But the movement itself, which is an historic movement, doesn't get the recognition that you would expect from something that is so significant, in urban communities of color, specifically Black communities, but Black and Puerto Rican communities. I'm going to put you guys. Well, you were gonna say something.
We're not going to never get the recognition we're supposed to get. They're going to always look at us as one big gang, one big troublemakers, nothing but violence. Nobody, you understand, even from the days when we started in our neighborhood, no one's going to ever look at the Black Spades as part of what they truly came about. Now, I'm not going to say a lot of people are wrong, because we had to fight to survive. As the gangs grew in the South Bronx, so did the egos of all the different gangs. And there was one determination: destroy the Spades, because we got too known, too big, and too popular. But we overcame. We existed, and we fought. You understand? We had alliances with a lot of gangs, but we had to fight gangs before we could establish alliances. You see what I'm saying? And even in the movement of hip-hop, Black Spades, Casanovas, Black Spades. There, we have a history that moved from one era to another era that people recognize and don't recognize. You have to read certain books, and certain people will shout out, you understand, how Black Spades have contributed from the gangs to hip-hop.
Right.
And our brother, African Bambaataa, has made it known and made it clear that he was a Black Spade, and look at all that he has introduced to the world of hip-hop. And you know what? We don't be with him every day, but we see him, we're in touch with him, he knows we're still here, he's still with us, and we're still with him. So the Black Spades have come, you understand, in different eras, have made a lot of contribution. Some will recognize, some won't. But we're still here. And we're still making, even today, we're still making contributions. We're making contributions with programs now. We're trying to do a lot of things, you understand, to help our youth, because right now, the hardest thing in the world today is being a young black man. And our kids don't have nothing. And the only thing that our kids have, no community centers, no PALs, no after-school programs. So the only thing they can do is come downstairs in the projects and watch and see what's going on and become a part of what's going on. At the present moment, me and Brother Chocolate's working on Cypress with the brothers up there. I'm trying to put together the movement down in the projects. I work with a lot of different organizations. I'm trying to start a program called CBS, Youth and Adult Mentoring Program. And the CBS, the initials, Casanova's Black Spades.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, and I'm definitely trying to put this program together to work. I got grandchildren now. Okay, I got a son that's in jail. He just got his degree and he just wrote 2 books. And I love my child. But you know what? My child wrote his book. He praises me to the utmost. Matter of fact, he'll trade his life just so I could live. But he said, and it's kind of hurting, but he said one thing. I've always wanted to be like my father. That's when in the streets. And I never knew that I reflected that image. But this is what we do, and we don't know it until we see it, hear it, or feel it. So right now, we're trying to give back as much as we can. You understand? We're doing a lot of different things, working with a lot of community-based groups, you understand, and just trying to do what we can, because if we don't get out there now, they call us OGs. Me, you, Chocolate, me, we OGs. But if us OGs don't get out there on the street and do what we got to do, and I don't care what neighborhood it is, I don't care what color we are, black, Spanish, Puerto Rican, whatever you want to be, we got to get out there and help our little brothers and sisters, because if we don't, we're losing a lot of them now to death. We're losing a lot of our little young brothers to selling drugs. We're losing our little sisters to pregnancy. And there's nothing for them. But we got to get out there and try to show them a way and try to help them as best as we can. And fight for whatever we can, so that we can bring back some type of stabilization, so that our kids can see that there's more to life than what they see.
You're talking about basically anywhere from 45 to a half a century ago, and you were able to take the madness of your situation and make something significant.
Nice.
Flash forward to today, the paradigm has completely shifted. There seems to be it seems to be very difficult for young people to even understand how to do such a thing or want to do such a thing. This is exacerbated by the fact that the system itself has become significantly more aggressive in destroying black youth. When you were coming up, the prison population might have been a couple of 100,000. Now it's millions.
2 million.
Millions. And a lot of young people are serving life on the installment plan for practically doing nothing. For like possession of weed, or being shot down. Ramali Graham in the Bronx was shot down in front of his mother, his grandmother, and his 6-year-old brother in his own house.
Yes, crazy.
The police bum rushed the house, shot him dead in his bathroom, and they said he might have flushed some weed down the toilet. I mean, this is the atmosphere that young black people are coming up in. As a result, they are not in the same frame of minds that they were in the 70s and the 80s, because the system itself has become far more aggressive in beating them down, holding them in place, making sure that they don't move from point A to point B. I'm going to put you guys on the spot because all of us are looking desperately for answers, trying to find ways to not just help our children to do better themselves, but maneuver better through this aggressive maze that seems set to destroy them. What do we teach them? What do we say to them? How do we get them to understand, first of all, that it's not all in your mind? that the system itself is trying very hard to re-enslave you through the prison system, or eliminate you by killing you in cold blood. That you have to maneuver through this from a place where it's hard to come from. In an ideal world, you know, how do we teach them? What do we teach them? How do we, you know? I know that's kind of on the, it's wordy and it might be unfair, but I don't care.
You know, it's not unfair, because you know what? Though I got a grandson, I got a son that's in prison, and let me tell you something. Every day, and I got friends and neighbors who got children that's out on the street, and every day we're trying to find a way to see how we can help our kids. What are we telling them? We're not giving them nothing. Like you said, I've walked through in my own neighborhood, Mount Haven Projects, and stopped and frisked because it's a drug neighborhood. The kids are being stopped. You understand? In search because they walked it. They got a thing now that if you don't live in the projects, they don't want you staying in the projects. Okay? Now I'm saying to myself, what are we giving our kids and what are we showing our kids? Society, the system is not showing them. I'll tell you what we're showing them, that we can lock them up every time they talk wrong or look wrong. Then we'll let you back out and there's nothing for you. I mean, this got to start with our government as well as the people, me and you. We got to get out there and try to show our kids that there's a better life than what they see. We got to try to get them to understand that education is the key to success. But how can we get our kids to understand that education is the key to success when we're not giving them nothing? We're not giving them nothing.
We got a call. I'm going to let you chime in, but I want to hear what the caller is saying. So if you guys are able to put the call through. I have Tiny and Chocolate here from the Black Spades, and oh yeah, it says right there, one call. Right. Hi, caller, you're on the air.
All right. From that, as always, and whatnot, award-winning show and whatnot, I want to big up the brothers from the Black Spades. You know, when I was growing up, and hip hop was just coming out, at least to me, and they used to be like on Cypress Hills, you know, Webster Avenue, things like that. I remember when y'all brothers used to be out there, you know, just like behind the ropes, so to speak, as security and whatnot. You know, I had family and whatnot supposedly that was down with Casanova, Josie Wells and things like that. You know what I'm saying? And you know, when I was just listening to y'all brothers talking things like that, you know, it's like I understand, you know, y'all ain't gonna like put all the dirt out there and things like that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't expect you to and whatnot. But you know, it's like y'all brothers wasn't no joke. You know what I'm saying? They were brothers out there and whatnot, smoking the dust and whatnot with them damn golf clubs and things like that. You know, all notorious. Well, I ain't gonna say all of y'all, but they were some that were notorious about don't be stepping on cat sneakers because you either get rocked with them golf clubs or you'll end up getting shot up. I mean, but that's part of the element of being a gang, though. You know what I'm saying? There were some righteous brothers and whatnot, but then you also had gangsters in your gangs and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you gotta keep it 100, but I'm saying you only speak from your own perspective. You may not even seen none of that stuff. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I'm just glad that y'all brothers still up and around and whatnot and is able to spread the legacy and whatnot. I just want to give y'all props, so stay up, y'all.
Thank you.
Well, listen, thank you.
Man. Yeah, what he's saying is true. I alluded to it somewhat, but I really, I just said out of madness, and you know, and I said there was a street element, a warrior element, but that is part and parcel to coming up in the streets. That as a kid, you are dancing in a landmine full of, you know, full of components that'll take you out at any given moment. The things that you had to deal with, and the solutions that were taken, the different solutions, the myriad solutions that was taken by different people, as I said before, have become far more complex today than they even were then. You know, so whereas then you might have had elements within the street that made that made surviving difficult. Now it seems to be coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, the good guy wears blue.
That's-
You know,
yeah.
or the bad guy wears blue.
To answer that, you know, like I said, I've been incarcerated. I did a lot of time. I just recently come home. I just recently did 20 years. I have remorse for the family. You know, I had a murder. I have remorse for the family. And I'm not saying that being incarcerated showed me or softened me. It just showed me the more intricate problems that's going on in this society. It's like, you use the word blue, the bad blue, you know, and it's just y'all, not you per se, but them against us.
Right.
And that's what it is today. And it was like that when we was coming up, but it's more prevalent now because, as Tiny stated, the kids don't have nothing.
Right.
Myself, I love basketball. I if you put a game on right now, you can talk to me. I'll be multitasking. You see, the kids, all they have today, which I had even more. We had sports, we had education. The schools don't educate you anymore. They just trying to get you out. It's money. Today, the kids don't have the PAL.
Right.
They don't have
community
They don't
centers.
have the community centers. They don't even have guys like myself to come out and, yo, let's go play some ball. Yo, shorty, I got you. You know, because nothing for nothing. The media hyped it up with these two so-called factionists that's going around, cliques that's going around. So guys are scared to come out to be in the park because you got on Jordans. He got on Barclays. Hold on, what you doing wearing Barclays, man? This is a Jordan park. No, so kids are scared to, and the media hype it up. They put the Blues against the Reds, which is crazy. You know, if you got on a red sweatshirt, you can't come in this park because we got on blue hoods or whatever. And if they was to
Do we
take,
have another? Do we have another call? If we have another call, you can put it through. Finish your thought.
Yes.
Oh yeah, hi caller, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, how are you doing?
Oh, fine,
How your
thank you,
brothers
man.
doing?
All
Good,
right.
good.
Yes, sir. It's so good. Yes.
Yeah, turn your TV all the way down and
Just
yeah.
to see my brothers there. I'm from Paris.
yeah, turn it.
Can't hear you.
Yes,
Turn your
I'm
TV
originally
all the way
from,
down so
Patterson
you don't get.
Projects. I grew up in 370.
Okay.
We hear you.
Respect.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's having a
And,
little problem with his phone.
Yeah, yes, in Patterson Projects. I grew up in 370, and yes,
Yeah, we're listening.
He having a problem with
Probably
his
having-
phone.
No, he probably has his television on. He's getting feedback. You're gonna have to turn your TV all the way down, or we're gonna have to.
now?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. All right, we're gonna have to lose that call, and I'll get back to you. I have a thing flashing on there. Gangs, media influence.
Right.
Some about a
That's
Warriors
cool.
movie. What is that?
Well, the Warriors was a movie
Yeah,
that
remember that? Coney Island, the
Coney
guy-
Island, the
Oh,
gangs.
right.
Yeah,
Warriors
right.
come out to play.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. I'm a little senile.
I have to get this. I have to.
Right.
There was a man, but Mr. Bailey. We had a man in lived in Patterson Project. His name was Mr. Bailey, and Mr. Bailey was instrumental in getting us involved with the Warriors and a few other movies. We were part of the whole scene where the whole gang was in the park, but that's the only part we played. Spades was in it because Mr. Bailey got us involved. Mr. Bailey played in a lot of different movies. He had a lot of little different roles, and he got.
Okay. Yeah, caller, you're on the air.
Hey.
How you doing?
Hotel.
Hotel.
Yeah, I want to say to the brothers, I want to say hi to all you. I just have a couple of questions,
All right.
a statement as well, about the young man who got on the BX, or the BK 15. few days ago, whatever, and shot the gun and killed the guy. That's the element that we're faced with.
Right.
We always want to say that we got to have programs. We got to do this for our children. Things like that. We got to corral them around basketball. I think that's the problem. I think they need more books. They need to leave basketball alone. And I think we should boycott a lot of these industries, such as the NBA, the NFL, the NCAA. But people won't do that because that's like horror. That's like vile talk of the black people. They don't mind black boys riding dirt bikes and shooting each other. And even his brother just said he just came home for 20 years. My question to you, brothers, what does this little young man, this little 14-year-old boy, what does he have to expect now that he has killed somebody and now he has to go be charged with a bill? What is his future? Hotep reinstate automatics, then I'll hang up and I'll wait for your answer. Thank you.
Okay. Well, want me to answer?
Yeah, I'm
Well,
leaving alone.
okay.
You got it.
Well, you directed that to me, and it takes, because I did a lot of time, as I said. I've been home now 6.5 years trying to do everything, and it's hard. I have 3 degrees. I have a bachelor's in law. No, excuse me. I have associates in law from John Jay. I have a bachelor's in psychology, sociology, and I have a master's certificate in theology. And right now, I'm still in transit with employment. And, because I was one of the first and last guys to get their degrees in school in 1994 when Governor Pataki came in, he stopped higher education. But to answer your question, he's going to have a real hard time. For one, because he's a child. He's 14. I mean, and not taken away from the crime itself, he committed a horrific crime. And what's going to happen, his parents going to come and try to help him as much as he can. Even guys going to try to help him in prison, but he's going to get sucked in. He's going to have to be an individual where he's going to have to learn how to stand by himself. I mean, he's going to have to learn not to be peer precious. Yo, shorty, come on, you got to do this. Shorty, you got to do that. He's going to have to be able to sit back and think about what he's going to do with himself while he's incarcerated. Yes, he's going to have his pitfalls. Dude's going to test him. For one, they're going to test him because they feel, you that tough to do that. Yo, what up? They're going to test him. So he's going to have to learn how to educate himself physically and mentally. The mental education is coming from to find out who he is at heart, who he wants to be, what do he want to strive to do, because he's going to have a hard time. And as far as education-wise, which will help him, because it will take him from the norm. Incarceration is a subculture. People don't realize it's a world within the world. You have your stores, you have your guys that run around and think they cute, you got the guys that think they tough, and he's going to have to decide what line do he want to fall in. He can be by himself, but he's going to have to be able to stand tall by himself and accept his plight while he's in there. Not try to blame it on it. Say, oh man, if I did this, I wouldn't. No, well, he got this. Yes.
Let me add a little fuel to your fire because you already. Yeah. I'm going to be right with you. Well, go on, caller. You're on.
Hello, my name is Charles Fleming. I used to live around on Alder Street in Southern Boulevard area over there, and I just want to appreciate and thank the Black Spades guys, Nate and Chocolate and the rest of the Spades, right? Because they used to help us through school. They used to, 72, I was a little kid, I was 10 years old. They protected me through school and taking me through school and everything, And I know how dangerous and violent it was around there then, but I just want to say thank you guys. I did a real good job. Today, I understand that it's not like it used to be. And I do need help. I wish there was some way that I could help you. I'm now living back in New York. My mother took me away because it was so dangerous. I did that. My mother took me away to South Carolina. I grew up in South Carolina. And now that I'm back in New York, I'm finished educating myself. And I just want to say you guys are amazing, man. You stood up to the challenge. You know, just you guys sitting there. I probably know you guys, you know, but I was 10 years old at the time. You know, and it's amazing. Thank you for everything you did. But do more. Just pray and be God. And God bless you guys, right?
Yes.
All right, thank you, caller. I got about a minute, so I'm going to get this last question, and you only got like 30 seconds to answer the question, and probably I could dedicate a whole show to the question itself. You were talking about what the young 14-year-old would actually go through, and I was trying to say that the paradigm shifted so much that, first of all, coming up in the streets, a lot of times the only way that we could get an education was through the prison system.
Yes.
That many of us, if we could have gotten a bachelor's degree or a master's degree when we were in the street, there'd be no need for us to go to prison in the first place. The programs, even in the prison system, that allowed young men to get an education are being decimated. So
Yes,
they're
it's done.
removing all avenues that young people have to better their condition. You got 30 seconds, not even 30 seconds to address
Well, I
that.
want to address that. Right now, I'm a senior. I'm in the College of New Rochelle, working on a double major, psychology and social science. It's what you want to do. I understand we got the pressures, and the pressures is a mother. And a lot of our brothers and sisters understand that pressure so hard, it's hard to get around it. But when you put your foot down and you make your decision of what you're going to do, next year I will have my BA, okay? And it's what you want to do.
So,
I want to thank Brother Tiny, Brother Chaka from the Black Spades. This hour went by real quick. I
Yes.
wish we had 2 hours because I'm just getting into this, and these brothers are fascinating. We'll see you next week on 30 Frames a Second. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to keep up the pressure, and I really appreciate my guests. Thank you, brother.
Thank you for having us.
thank you
Peace
for
be
having
out.
All right.
Okay. Wow.
That was quick.
Yo,
Can I get up? Can I get up?
Not yet. Okay. Yo,
I gotta go to the bathroom like a mother.
You, it's, you know,